Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I want to say Kahalayam Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Barakatham, to the elders who taught us truth, and to the brothers and sisters of the four corners of planet Earth, standing on your laws, statutes, and commandments. You know, brothers, being the head of that family, you know what I'm saying? If he has a wife, just doing the work for the Most High. And, sisters, taking care of the children, being faithful to the husband, standing on his law, statutes, and commandments, praying for the hasty coming to the house of Mashiach. My name is Mapatak. Okay, and I have another addition, to the Thick Oral series. Today I want to talk about, Zechariah 14th chapter. I want to go into it a little bit, maybe just like 9 verses. But the point is, the coming of your house out of Mashiach, what we all praying for, But this, what the prophet seen, Zechariah, this is going to happen, and this is what our hope is in, So, without further ado, I'm just going to get into it. That's Zechariah 14th chapter, starting at verse 1. And I'm using KJV this time. All right. I'm gonna read. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna read verse 1 and 2. That's talking about 70 AD. When Rome came and basically conquered Jerusalem. Okay, verse 1. It says, "Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee." Verse 2. "For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city." So basically what it's talking about, when the Romans came to Jerusalem in 70 AD, okay, they took everything we had, okay. It speaks about verse 2, when they say, "I gather all nations against Jerusalem." First of all, you got to understand that, Rome had all nations. They conquered, Rome conquered a lot of nations. And plus in the Roman army, they had all types of nations. They just not just with Romans, okay? They had Edomites. They had Edomites, in the Roman army. They had some Israelites in the Roman army too. You know what I mean? They had all types of nations that was in the Roman army. And it says, some of us went into slavery. So best believe some of them slaves that that the Romans took, they put in the army. So when it says all nations came against Jerusalem, as Rome came and conquered a lot of these nations, the Roman army had put them in an army and they fought for them. So that's when it's talking about, "For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken." And that's what happened. They sacked Jerusalem. You know what I mean? They raped the women, okay? And it says half of the city shall go forth into captivity, okay? They took some of the slaves, and then some of us, ran into Africa. You know what I mean? That's another study right there. You know what I mean? But basically, verse 1 and 2 of Zechariah 14 is talking about 70 AD. All right. Now this is another right here. This is another context starting at verse 3. Okay, verse 3 says, "Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle." Okay, so basically, the Most High basically, is going to fight, okay, for Israel. Okay, that's what it's talking about, verse 3. Okay, and when is this going to happen? It hasn't happened yet, okay. Basically, this is a future prophecy right here, okay, starting at verse 3. So real quick, I want to go to, let's go to Joel, the book of Joel, chapter 3. Quick, Joel, chapter 3. Joel, chapter 3. I'm going to read verse 1 and 2, okay? Joel chapter 3, verse 1 and 2, it says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem." Verse 2, "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." So basically, it's not talking about he's not going to beg them. He's going to have them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is a valley of judgment. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to it's going to destroy them. You know, that's what it's talking about. He's going to destroy them. Okay, that's what the Most High is going to fight for us. He's going to destroy them. And basically, against these other nations. He's going to defend us against these other nations. Okay. And real quick, let me go to Isaiah 66, 15 and 16. All right. Isaiah 66, 15 and 16. And it says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots, like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire." Verse 16, "For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." So basically, the Most High going to come, with his chariots, okay? And basically, that's how he's going to fight for Israel, all right? Plain and simple, in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay, verse 4. All right, let's go back to Zechariah 14, verse 4. It says, "And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem, on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall be moved toward the north, and half of it toward the west." So basically, this scripture right here, all this talking about, okay, when it says his feet shall stand upon the Mount of Olives, it's not talking about Yahweh's feet, it's talking about Yahweh's feet. You know what I mean? Because as we read in the New Testament, a lot of teaching that Yahweh Mashiach done, he done from the Mount of Olives. Okay, so basically that's represent the Mount of Olives, and that mountain. When it's talking about the mountain was split, okay, basically it's talking about how the elect is going to receive salvation. Because if you go into there's other scriptures where they speak about mountain as being the chariot and this and that. All this mountain is talking about right here, okay, is salvation for the reserve. Okay, the reserve basically is for the elect. Okay, and real quick, let me go to I want to go to let's go to Jeremiah real quick. Jeremiah 50 verse 20. Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50 and verse 20 says, "In those days and in that time, said the Lord, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none, and the sins of Judah and they shall not be found. For I will pardon them whom I reserve. Okay, and the reserve is basically talking about the elect. Okay, the one that House of Mashiach, okay, is going to deliver. All right, that's what it's talking about. Okay, when it's speaking about, the Mount of Olives. Basically, that mountain basically represents salvation, which is the house of Mashiach. All right. So my next precept, I want to go to. Oh, let me go back to Jeremiah 14. All right. Not Jeremiah. Let's go to Zechariah 14, and at verse 5. Okay. 5 says, "And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal." Okay, basically that word Azal, basically is basically the word Azal represents reserved. Okay, that's what it represents. "Yea, ye shall flee like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And the Lord, my power, shall come, and all the saints with thee." Okay, so basically verse 5 is talking about, when it's speaking about that earthquake, we know what it's talking about. It's talking about those missiles, those nuclear missiles, okay? And when it's speaking about, and all the saints, hold on. "And the Lord, my power, shall come, and all the saints with him." Let's talk about your house at Mashiach in the chariots. So let me get a precept. Let's go to Revelation 11, 12, and 13. Revelation 11. 12 and 13. And 12 says, "And they heard a great voice from heaven, saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And their same hour it was great." Okay, verse 13. "In the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell." That's the 10th part, it's talking about America, because the FEMA zones, that's what the 10th part is talking about America. "And in the earthquake were slain men of 7,000. Okay, which was a perfect destruction. "And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to Yahweh of heaven." So that earthquake is talking about, in verse 5, okay, it's talking about the nuclear missiles. That's what it's talking about. That basically that's what's coming, that's what's going to happen. That's what this prophet seeing, right? Okay, so let's go back to Zechariah, verse 6. Okay. Verse 6 says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark." Verse 7, "But it shall be one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that the evening time it shall be light." So basically all it's talking about, basically all that's talking about is that new covenant. Okay, when they speak about light and this and that, it's talking about the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know what I'm saying? That the elect gonna have in their inward part. The ones that that are delivered. Okay, it's talking about that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. The new covenant. All right, real quick, let me go to let's go to Isaiah 66 and 23. Isaiah 66 and 23. It says, "And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship me, saith the Lord. So that's what's going to happen. Okay, we in the kingdom. Okay, these other nations. Okay, that are left over, that are not destroyed. Okay, after they build up the kingdom, what's going to happen is y'all going to come, to Zion, and learn these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? So let's read verse 8. All right, Zechariah verse 8. And it says, and it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in the winter shall it be. So basically it's talking about these laws, statutes, and commandments is going to be taught all over the world. Why? Because, Israel, okay, is going to be empowered, okay? Israel going to be empowered, and we're going to rule with the laws, statutes, and commandments, okay? This is end time prophecy. This is going to happen in the kingdom, all right? And real quick, let's get Revelation 22, 1 and 2. Okay, Revelation 22, 1 and 2 says, He showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Yahweh and of the Lamb. Verse 2, in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for healing of the nations. So basically, what that's talking about, it's talking about the Israelites in power. Okay, that's what it's talking about. The Israelites in power, and and basically that water, that river, is talking about these laws and commandments going all over the world, teaching these nations. Okay, that's that living water is talking about. Real quick, let's go to Micah 4, 1, 2, and 3. Micah 4. Micah 4, 1, 2, and 3. Alright. Here we go. Micah 4, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, it says, but in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. Okay, it's talking about the kingdom of heaven, which is Zion. Israel. The true Israel. Okay, and all these people that's going to flow to it is these other nations. Okay, because Israel is going to be in charge. And this is going to be after that 1,000 years. After Esau gets exterminated. Verse 2, and many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of Yahweh, the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Okay, so there it is. The laws, statutes, and commandments are going to be taught to the other nations. Okay, by who? Okay, by us, by Israel. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna be, our kingdom's gonna be restored. All right. And let's go to verse 9. Okay, real quick. Okay, verse 9. Let's go back to Zechariah 14. Zechariah 14, verse 9. All right. Okay. Zechariah 14, verse 9. And it says, "And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. And that day shall there be none." In that day there shall be one Lord, and his name one. Okay, so basically in that day, right, it's gonna be the house right of Mashiach. He's gonna be king. He's gonna be reigning. Okay, it says one Lord. Okay, it's not no Trinity right there. It's gonna be one Lord. It's gonna be reigning. And that's your house out of Mashiach. And basically, that was the point. Okay, basically that's the point right here. In Zechariah 14 that I wanted to get across through the Spirit is that Israel, okay, basically is going to be ruling in the kingdom. Okay, and these other nations, okay, they're going to be coming to Israel. Okay, and learn these laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay, and that's all to it. Yeah, they're going to be our captives. Okay, like it says in Isaiah 14, 1 and 2. They're going to be our captives, but after they build up, let me make sure it's Isaiah 14. Make sure Isaiah 14, 1 and 2. I don't want to be mistaken here. Okay, yeah. Isaiah 14, 1 and 2. I'm going to read it real quick. It says, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." Now, these strangers are the other nations, okay? "And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over them, over their oppressors." So once this happens, in the kingdom, when we take them captives, what's going to happen is they're going to build a kingdom. Okay, once they build a kingdom, okay, in that 1,000 years, okay, and according to Obadiah, okay, Esau is going to be exterminated, okay? And after that, what's going to happen is, okay, we're going to put them in their own land. Okay, but they're going to have to you have to come up to, Jerusalem, okay, and do the sacrifices, and deal with these laws, statutes, and commandments, okay? Because, we're going to be ruling over them with the law. And real quick, if you go further in Zechariah the 14th chapter, if you read 16 and 17, it shows that, if these other nations are going to come up and do what they're supposed to do, basically the Lord's not going to, deal with them, He's not going to bless them with, what they need to survive. So with that, I just pray, that y'all got through the Spirit, you got to understand, what's going to happen in the future. Thus said His Holy Bible. I mean, this isn't the only place that speaks about that. You can go into Isaiah 55 to 56, you know what I mean? And it speaks about, what's going to happen, what's going to happen in the kingdom, with these other nations, you know what I mean? And I just pray, that, like I said, your brothers and sisters got understanding. And this is just, just strengthen up, your faith that, this word of God is true. You know what I mean? And we just got to stand on the Most High's word, because what the Most High said, it's going to come to pass, The Most High does not send His word and it comes back to Him void. Everything He says, He accomplishes it, you know what I mean? So I just want to say, Call Halayim La Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai Baraka. thumb to the brothers and sisters, who are getting edified, Moab, blah, blah, blah. And stand on his word, Israel. It's about to be over. Okay, shalom.